Be back with another winning Wednesday. I got something good for y'all today for the topic, but first we're gonna start off by saying how everybody feeling, what's been going on today. I had a pretty busy day today, so what's been going on? Hey Donovan, hi Kayaja. Where everybody at? Oh, hey Bree. Hi Reality. Yo, I come back home soon. Classes is over with. I'm ready. But yeah, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead while the comments is rolling in. Start talking about what we're gonna be talking about today. We're gonna be talking about breaking generational curses. And I don't know why I picked this topic. It's a real good topic. It's just something that came to mind. Maybe just a conversation I had with my mom. But I think this would be a very good topic. If anybody wanna get on, hit me up for the link. But I'm not gonna be on here by myself today. So we about to have Finn get on and we about to get this conversation started. Let me talk to everybody, all the rest of my people. Hey Soul, hey Raquel, Sid. Why I hear myself echoing? Zion, Kayla, Mar, Santana. Mar don't got midterms this week. Something like that. I seen some good news with him. But what's been going on, everybody? Today I spoke at a press conference virtually, and I had a call with Miss Joni. And today we got the town hall tonight. But what's been going on with you, Finn? You on mute.
Oh, so me today my off day. Been working. I work 4 days on, 2 days off. This week was like my first week off of training at work. So after I got off of training, I got straight into working overtime, 12-hour shifts for real. Uh,
How that's been?
it's been cool. The days don't feel as long as they be, but get out of work, it's dark outside. Go home, go to sleep. I'm still doing my runs. This week my phone went up on me. It was with Cam. We was on our way to the gym.
Oh no!
Crazy.
Oh no! It wasn't on me. It was because you messed it up.
Yeah, well, it was
12 hours
nobody's
half
fault.
today though, so I don't
That
know
one,
how that don't feel long.
that one. But um, yeah, my phone went up on me, so I can't use my phone. So the whole week I ain't been without my phone, so I can't be posting my miles and stuff like that. But I still been running my miles
Where
and
your energy at?
working out. Just trying to break
Where
down
your
my
energy
week.
at? You
Just
just
trying to
so
break
like
down my week.
low.
That's it.
Oh,
Um,
go ahead, break down your week then.
yeah, working. A lot of stuff been happening at work. Interesting at work. Um, yeah.
Maybe one day on a session you can give us the inside scoop at the jail. Not today though. today, today we gonna be talking about breaking them generational curses. Like I said, y'all, if anybody want the link, y'all can hit me up. But y'all know how we do. We just gonna start off doing a regular discussion. Um, Caught up with y'all a little bit, told y'all about what's been going on. But I just gonna start off with the basics. So, what's a generational curse? And anybody can drop it in the chat. Just what does it mean to you as far as what is a generational curse? And I mean like defining it. Really said you've been working hard. She can hear it. What's a generational curse to you? You saying that stiff?
You want me to answer? I was waiting for comments to roll in.
No, we not waiting for the comments. We want to hear what you guys say.
All right, so a generational curse basically is like a bad timeline in your family that's going on. So say my great grandfather was poor, and he was food insecure and stuff like that, and he allowed that to make him make bad decisions like not be a father to his kids. Then that turned around and made my father grow up the wrong way because he ain't have a like that well, my grandfather. He ain't had that father figure in his life, so he really don't know how to be a father yet.
Mm.
And he out here having kids and stuff. He don't got leadership. Now my grandfather poor because he don't got that leadership. Now my father trying to come up, and now my father trying to break the generational curse of not being a good father and not being poor, and so it's just a generational curse is basically a long cycle in your family that's been repetitive, and it might not even be just your family. It might be your culture, your people. So
Mm. That's deep. Can you touch on that a little bit? On a
what you
culture
mean
piece.
culture like
Like touch on it. Like what you can you give me an example?
um example of a generational curse of cultures like Caucasian people, like you know some Caucasian people grow up and they are taught racism and stuff like that. Whether we believe it or not, that's a generational curse when a Caucasian person teaching somebody else that's coming up to
You can
be
say white, yo.
teaching somebody else coming up to be hateful towards somebody because of their skin color. And some
Mm.
Caucasian people like see a lot of white girls are starting to like black guys and stuff like that. They coming around, and
Mm.
their families and the people that they surround themselves with aren't supportive of that. So that's a generational curse right there, just teaching hate and stuff like that. That's an example.
Mm. That was deep. Thank you for sharing that. But basically, overall, what people been saying in the chat is like a bad repeated cycle, generation after generation, negative and toxic traits being taught through generations. I honestly kind of think of it as like a domino effect for real. Like one person started something, the first generation started something, and they just tipped their little domino, and now everybody else doing the same thing or like allowing it to control them. And sometimes people don't necessarily see the generational curses that, hit them. I think it's kind of like one of those nature versus nurture things. So like what's going on around you just, just starts implementing like going on into your life. And when you're not aware of certain things, like you may not be aware of what happened in the previous generation or anything like that, it just starts affecting you. And sometimes you're a little bit blind to it. So I think that's another good reason of why we should start talking about it today and everything like that. Okay, Rielly said she's gonna be a first generation college student for her family. I love to see it. I love to
Congratulations.
see it. Shalor said he could feel you on the male figure piece.
You're stronger than me. I'm not gonna lie. You're stronger
But
than
yeah,
me. Rick.
y'all.
College couldn't do it.
Yo, college is something different. I'm not gonna lie to you. But to each his own, yo. Y'all can do what y'all want at the school. Don't do what you want. Do something positive at the school. It don't matter if it's college, trade school, starting your own business. Dorian, do you have the YouTube playing in the background?
No, I don't.
Why do I hear myself echoing? Okay, anyway. All right, Joe, we're gonna move on to the next piece of the discussion. So, how are these generational curses created? And I can answer this one first since I let Dorian answer the last question first. But I think generational curses, um, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm geeking. I think generational curses kind of are created by. It's kind of like one bad apple that's in the bunch. So like, one person do something and like it's probably stemming from like trauma or something that like I don't know what would be like the first person to do it or the first generation to do it, but like as a result of trauma that someone else has been through or experienced, it kind of just it causes a ripple effect. So sometimes people don't respond to trauma by acknowledging the trauma and fixing the trauma. They experience the trauma by not dealing with it. And as a result of them not dealing with it, it causes them to act in a different way. And, you know, thinking about from parent to child, a parent may have faced trauma and now they're sheltering their child in a way, or they're treating their child in a different way. But that's because they haven't dealt with it or they haven't acknowledged what they've been through. So I kind of think about it like that. That's how it starts. Finn, what you think?
Start the generational curse is it's like a big part of starting the generational curse is not being mentally strong. Like if you can make good decisions, if you let people easily influence the decisions you make without really thinking about it, that could definitely start a generational curse, like getting in the streets or other things. Gotta be mentally strong.
All right, but what you mean by that though? Like
So like bad mental
as
health.
far as being mentally strong. Okay. So all right, I'm gonna go a step further and then I'm gonna read these questions real quick. But as far as like being mentally strong or whatever, how would a person know if they had bad mental health?
Um, one would know that they have bad mental health while being like unstable. Instability is like being all over the place, not being able to level out in certain situations, easily panicking, not really making good decisions, unstable. Some people are mentally unstable and emotionally unstable, and be like breaking down. Some people, you see people at school breaking down before you know being unstable, but is an example of bad mental health.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's a different outlook. I didn't think about it that way. Bree said she needs some tips for the gym. She said she out of shape. So you gotta get with her when your phone back working. Um, Zion said lack of education. Can you elaborate on it? I think I know what you mean, but like I kind of want to see where your mind at. Um, Shalot said he agrees with the domino effect. It's taught to us. Yeah, I feel you on that. And sometimes a lot of people just like I don't know how. The only way you can get awareness is by like having people, spread knowledge and everything like that. But like some people I think really just don't know where to start. Like breaking generational curses, not easy. Like even thinking about like Dorian said like poverty basically. Like if one person was poor, next generation poor, blah blah blah. A lot of times when those habits are done for so long, people don't necessarily know anything else or any other way. So, being aware is one thing, but then after awareness is like actually implementing the things you need to do in order for you to break the curse. So like, whether that's getting on a call every day, a Zoom call every day that might can be like life changing calls, or, going to a job, or, a career job or anything like that, going to school every day, different things like that. Like stuff like that isn't hard if you only seen the opposite. So I definitely agree with that. Shalor said some people don't want to acknowledge they have mental health issues, and that's true. Some people don't believe mental health real. I think Sid was telling about experience about a lady that told her that mental health wasn't real when she was talking to them about healing youth alliance. Zion said like how to manage money, how to address trauma, how to be an emotional support for your children, just some stuff. And yo, while we having this conversation, I just want y'all to think about how we can get out of this cycle. So I know y'all said like a bad decision, well, a bad cycle or repetition of certain habits and things like that. But how are we going to end that cycle? So or create a new cycle or something that's like more positive. I don't know what would be the opposite of generational curses. Maybe generational wealth or things like that. Those are attributes that would be in something that's opposite. But I want y'all to kind of think about things that'll break us out of these things. Because I know Dorian was talking about like cultural curses as well. We all black. I believe we all black on here. So like thinking about even things that we face as, being black. So tying right into that, how do we break generational curses? Thinking about ones that we may have faced or anything like that. What's the first step y'all think? And like give me like 3 steps to breaking a generational curse.
Well, I can give you one step right now. One step to breaking a generational curse is acknowledging the problem. Before you get out of the problem, you gotta acknowledge there is a problem. So, for example, we were talking about on Focus Friday the other week about government assistance. Now, it might not be a big problem that you on government assistance and you using it to your advantage, but it's a problem when you like relying on it too much to live. Like if you didn't have government assistance, you wouldn't be able to live. Like so, one step is realizing you got a problem.
You're not gonna give us the other two?
Oh, you
I'm
can
here
give number
breaking the
two.
rules.
You can give number two. Give me number two. We can go back to back.
All
Like
right.
Jake said.
All right, okay. You gonna give us the last one then. All right, so you said realizing or acknowledging the problem. I would say after that, set a realistic daily goal. Like if say the generational curse you breaking is poverty, right? Since that's the one we already was talking about. Your daily goal is to, do outreach to different organizations or whatever about some skill that you have. So like for me with the pursuing passion and purpose sessions, I send 5 emails a day. That's a daily goal that could tie into, the overall generational curse of poverty. But it's like a daily thing, something that's going to be reasonable. Because sometimes people set real unrealistic goals and, it throw them off track and they get overwhelmed and everything like that. But if you set a small daily goal that's attainable, then, you're able to actually do something real that you can actually, feel like you're making progress.
So I agree with setting goals and all that, but I wouldn't say that's the second step. So I disagree and I agree at the same time. I think the second step should be, getting knowledge. So before you set a goal, you want to know what do I want to set goals on. So I feel like setting the second goal after acknowledging the problem is, getting knowledge and realizing, hey, what can I do to get out of the problem? And then after you know, and after you build up enough knowledge, because we say a part of the generational curse is of poverty is we don't have enough knowledge. Get some knowledge, and then after you get the knowledge, then you can start building goals and say, here's what I'm gonna do with my knowledge. I'm start saving up in a bank or start building my credit up. So you gotta know how to build the credit up before you say I'm gonna build my credit. So getting knowledge and then making goals would be the final step. And after making goals, you gotta make sure you accomplish the goals too.
Okay, so accountability. I think too with that knowledge piece, that's a good point. But I think that we should add figuring out the root of the problem. Because a lot of times we can acknowledge it's a problem. Yeah, okay, it's a problem. This is problematic. But then where did it come from? So, like later on in life, you can prevent that same problem from reoccurring. Because if you actually attack that root of the problem, then, it's less likely, I guess, for it to happen later on in life. So, I think that's definitely a good point. It was a good comment in here that I had seen. I think it was from Kayla. Um, wait, was that this is the comment? Okay, so we were talking about goals, I think, around that time, and she said think about the problems caused if you don't do it. So thinking about like if you got a goal and you don't do the goal, like what's gonna be on the opposite, end of the stick. I think that's really good because I don't know, sometimes fear can drive you to do to do good things too. And everybody might not agree with that, but I feel like sometimes when you scared of failing, or scared of something just going like completely wrong, it'll kind of force you to do everything right. Well, not everything, because we all make mistakes, but a lot of the things right. So I think that was a really good comment. If there's any comments that stick out to you, I know a lot of people put their steps in the chat.
Oh, why not, sir? Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, one that stuck out to me was take action. I saw take action. I forgot who put it so far down. I can't really go down right now, but
Oh, it was
take
done. It was done.
taking action is definitely what you do after you get your knowledge and you're making your goals. You take that action and you stay consistent, and you hold yourself accountable and stuff like that. And another thing I saw was knowledge is power. That's so true, because when you get that knowledge, nobody can take that away from you. Like like Cam, like nobody can take the school thing away from her. Can't take away your good grades and stuff like that. So knowledge is power. That's true. And like the when people were coming out of slavery, they didn't want the slaves to know how to read, because once you learn how to read and write, they can't take that away. You can do so many things with that knowledge. So you can start reading books, learning, reading a Bible for yourself instead of somebody telling you what they want you to know. So stuff like that. Knowledge is power. That's a big one.
I feel like I seen something that Soul posted earlier, and she had on there like, yo, I really be when y'all be posting stuff, especially when Sid posts stuff that I can read, I be reading the whole thing or the whole thread. But Soul had posted something about her 31 day cleanse or something like that, and she was talking about setting good intentions. I feel like intentions are so important because, like, yeah, I'm in college right now, and I'm here. I'm grateful that I got the scholarship that I got for me to be here or whatever. That's a part of me breaking my generational curse. But when I was younger, my mom always said that nobody could ever take my education away from me, and like that was all throughout school. Like, of course, yeah, you can just say it or whatever, but like when I heard her say that, and she kept saying it all throughout, like elementary, middle school, high school, I took it serious. And I always gave my all in school and everything like that. And I feel like just having that support system of people that got good intentions for you will allow you to break the generational curse. So it's like we all on here, we get paid from the different opportunities that we do, the different projects we on, and things like that. And we could support each other. We got good intentions for each other. But it's very important, like even within family, the things that you expose to every single day matter. Because now I'm just looking back at that statement. I'm here because of that statement. Like, say I adapted a mindset that a lot of other people have about like education not being that important. It don't have nothing to do with anything, but like I seen the bigger picture. Like, education is gonna be my way out, or my way to change my family for the better. Cause like thinking about my family, my mom's side of the family is like alcoholics, drug addicts, things like that. And that's just not the person that I am, or the person that I want to be, or the way that I want my family to be, later on in my life. So things I got to do is, for me personally, I stay away from those type of things. Like that's not the type of crowd that I'm into, anything like that. Like I just try to stay on the best path that I can. I'm in my books majority of the time. It might be boring to other people, and it might be hard, not doing too much or nothing. Not to say everybody got to be like that as far as like, not being that social and everything like that, but my mind is on just like a higher purpose, and doing things that are actually going to be beneficial to my future, not just doing things because they're fun or anything like that. Doing things, everything with a purpose, for real. So we can kind of talk about some of the generational curses that we all have, something that's kind of personal to us, if everyone feels comfortable. And we're going to kind of like, I guess, walk through how we want to plan to execute breaking these generational curses. And I feel like every time we come to these sessions, we got the intentions to part of our intentions is to break those generational curses and just be a better person overall. I feel like that's like part of them first steps. And Soap says setting good intentions for yourself in the future will help you bring your manifestations and goals into reality. And that's facts. I talk to myself. I do some self talk. Honestly, I talk a lot if you let me, but I talk to myself a lot too. So, Dorian, you got something you want to say? I know you've been sitting over there quiet for a while.
I just want to say what you said was real powerful, and I agree. Like, everybody got their own way of doing things, and your way might be your way, but other people can break generational curses in different ways too.
Thanks. Thank you. Chelsea said that's how she's been feeling. Her future is so important to her. That's facts. And for me, earlier I was saying this when I called earlier. A lot of about what I do, like even thinking about the calls that I get on or the people I surround myself with, is not only for me. So like thinking about the other youth that it is to follow, like thinking about the culture and the other black youth, like we gotta work to build opportunities for them, as well as break some of these generational curses. So Sean, I think a lot of times it's also about what you see, the visual piece of it all. So, if you could see be in a home and, you know, not saying this is perfectly accurate, I'm just going based off assumption. You can be in a home full of alcoholics and you don't necessarily have to be the next alcoholic. If you see something different, it opens up your eyes and open your mind up to new possibilities and new opportunities. So like thinking about people that come, we all got different stories that come on, to Her Smiles and become youth leaders and, start participating in community things that are, changing the world and everything like that, you know, that's breaking that generational curse. Like it's just about what you see mainly. Or like I feel like it's a big portion of, you know, possibility and opening your mind up to different things. So Dorian, you want to kind of talk about generational curses in your family?
So one generational curse in my family. So my grandmother's side, a lot of my grandmother grew up in a house like a toxic household. Her mom was there, but I don't think she ever knew her dad. And the dad she did have, or the person that might be her dad, was like alcoholic and stuff like that. So he was mentally abusive towards them, and then he would say stuff to put him down and everything like that. And it kind of led on. It kind of caused her family, like the people under her, because she got like, I think it might be 6 or 7 siblings, and a lot of her siblings, um, you know, ended up not, following through and doing the right things. My grandmother actually went to the military, so she was able to escape, the at home thing. Like yours was education. Her escape was kind of the military, getting out on her own and kind of figuring things out. And a lot of people in her family, like my grandmother, my great grandmother, she had, like I said, my grandmother got 6 or 7 siblings. Almost all of her siblings is gone. Some is gone to drug addiction, and others gone to other things. But a lot of her siblings passed away, and she don't got that many siblings, and that's a generational curse in my family. Drug use, mental, mentally abusive households, and bad mental stability. Because even though my grandmother made it past the generational curse and not being a drug addict and being an alcoholic and stuff like that, in some ways she's still stuck in her mindset, and you could tell like just some of the things she say, and so if that's a generational curse, being mentally abusive and drug addiction and drug use.
So like, how do you react to those things? And I feel like everybody can kind of answer that question too for whatever your generational curse is. Like, how do you react? Like, what things do you feel now that we sitting here acknowledging the problem or the elephant in the room? How do you react to it? Like, what do you do? What things are you avoiding? Like, what's your mindset? Because like when I think about like the alcoholism in my family and like, poverty and everything like that, or government assistance and everything like that, I got certain things that's in my mind that I'm avoiding or things that I'm trying to work towards. So how do you react to it?
Um, I know that for me, for instance, like the way I react to mental abuse or stuff like that. Like when my grandmother ever getting her moods and stuff like that, I try calm her down or like tell her it's another way to look at things than being negative about it and stuff like that. I strive to be a productive person, and I strive to be successful because I know that I want my kids to grow up better than where I grew up. I didn't grow up bad, but even better than what I grew up. I want my kids to grow up better than that. So the generational curses just push me to be a better person and want to be a more positive person. You see what Naeem said? Yeah, my father's life has headed to the streets, so I had really shifted my for mindset and go for what's long term and make great things happen. That's what's up, Naeem.
Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
glad, I'm glad
that's
you
really good, Naeem. Oh, go ahead.
Naeem, I'm glad that you know, not taking your father as an example, like looking up to him, but using him as an example of what not to be like. You need good and bad examples in life. So, like I want to take the good example instead of bad example. I'm not saying it's you need your father to be a bad person, but it's like it's gonna all in all, make you be a better father to your kids and be better at not doing drugs and stuff like that. Cause I don't want to be like my dad. I want to be better, and I want my kids to be better. So I'm proud of you, Naeem. Keep working, y'all. Your work don't go unseen.
I think what Naeem said is like so important because like in a black community that's just not um it's a common issue, and like a lot of times it goes unaddressed or unnoticed, and thinking about where it stems from, like even thinking about the history of like them them being the government, and hopefully this don't get shut down or anything from me saying this, but like putting the drugs in our communities, and taking away other positive sources of income, thinking about jobs and things like that. Like for a black guy or a black man, they expect them their way out to be sports, basketball, football, or you know thinking about them going to the streets or things like that as far as the ways to make money or anything like that. But I feel like the limitations that's made from like society and just thinking about history, we got to really think about the roots of why things are the way they are. It's the reason for everything, and things happen for a reason. But Naeem, you made the choice to shift your mindset, but other people don't make the choice to shift their mindset, or they don't necessarily see the problem with that type of lifestyle and why it happens. Because sometimes we just get caught up in the trap.
It's like
So
Miss Jonas.
thank you so much for sharing it, Naeem.
Another
Oh, go
another
ahead.
example, like you said, kids growing up and thinking football and stuff is the only way out. Getting famous is the only way out. And an example that is like another example of things that got put in place besides the drug flood into the community is like when Miss Joni kept leading to. We was on that Focus Friday one time talking about Karen Rittenhouse. She said that in these suburban communities is you're not allowed to have a liquor store or a corner store a certain amount of distance from residential areas. But when you go into the city, it's a liquor store, corner store on every corner in the city. So it's like they putting this stuff here and giving people easier access to it so that they can use it, and it's just downward. So we like acknowledging that stuff and using the knowledge that we have now is the way that you start. That's the first step is acknowledging. So we gotta realize the problem and build our knowledge up and then make steps to get out and do better things. You see soul comment.
That yeah, I'm gonna read so comment and read to this. But they give white people access to easier access to education while they give us easier access to do everything basically to kill ourselves for real. Like, let's just be blunt about it. They give us everything that we need in order to self destruct. Like, thinking about how easy it is to get access to drugs or get access to alcohol or get access to education is not the best education. Like, thinking about public schools in comparison to private schools and thinking about, the access. Everything, like I said, is made this way. So we just got to think about, bridging a gap, from where other people are in the world, other races, other cultures are in the world, and thinking about where we need to be, how we can get there. Of course, it's going to be a little bit harder for us because, it's in the society we live in. But if we do what we need to do right now and we change, like, who's going to be the next change makers or who's going to break those generational curses, like, I feel like things could be a lot better. So thinking of if we were in, you know, law enforcement or if we were in government or different things of that nature, like we'll be able to make changes that we need to make for our culture and for our families. But you can go ahead and read So's comment.
Uh, so say I grew up around a lot of emotional abuse, alcohol, and drugs. I feel like God gave me my talents to be able to break through the curses, and I feel like the chosen one out of my family. What you gotta say?
I feel like, okay, go ahead.
You can go. You can go.
Yeah, I be thinking he don't be ready to talk because he be talking so slow. I be so fast, like I be jumping on stuff. That's why I be thinking he don't be ready to talk. But um, so I would definitely say like I'm glad that you acknowledge that, like you see what's going on. I feel like it's easier. We have easier access now to like what mental health is about and like what trauma is about and everything like that. Like before Haya and stuff like that, I didn't necessarily know too much about mental health. Like it just really started to come in front of us when we were like, looking at the news from the impacts of COVID and everything like that. Nobody was really talking about mental health like that. It was a stigma around mental health. So now, when we can say and openly say and not have to be like ridiculed or someone trying to negate our comments, like, yeah, look, I went through emotional abuse, or, it is alcoholism in my family, or it is drug addicts in my family without having to be looked down upon, because a lot of times people were looking at mental health like every time you bring up mental health, like people would you know tell you to be quiet or tell you to go back in your shell. Like even thinking about the culture, one of the generational curses, what goes on in the house stays in the house. If things going on in the house like emotional abuse and alcoholism and drug addiction and everything like that, how can you honestly expect someone to get better when you change, when you just hold all this stuff in or hold all this trauma in and you don't acknowledge the issue, or you don't find a way that you could treat the issue or even find the root of the problem? Like, you can't expect yourself to get better. So like we said, that first step is acknowledgement, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that, and it also acknowledge like what things you had to bring to the table or what things you had to bring to the world, because now you know what you have or what skills you have in your toolbox for you to break some of those generational curses that's going on in your family. But what was your comments?
Well, I'm gonna say the soul. Like Cam said, acknowledgement. Another thing like is acknowledging your power too. So you acknowledge that you can sing and stuff like that, and you got God-given talent. Now, give yourself that knowledge. Make sure you keeping up with it. Make sure you working on your voice and stuff like that. Make sure you actually doing something with what you got. Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long till you get like 30 and then want to start making a real big difference. Start now and get you in some singing classes. Get in the studio. Like I heard you be getting in the studio. Stay in the studio. Start coming out so people can see what you got to offer too. Not just us. Everybody need to see, because that's how you really gonna be able to benefit off it. Um, Somebody said, Antonio, young Antonio, he said that I've been emotionally abused to the point where stuff don't really affect me. That's right. That right there is called trauma, my friend. Trauma, because stuff should be able to affect you, and it's sad. Like a man is grew up to be like, and taught to be like not no simps and stuff like that. Whether we believe it or not, it's okay to be like emotionally attached to somebody and stuff like that. So a way to relate to that is emotional abuse and not being able to affect you. Like stuff should be able to affect you, and you should be able to be hurt, and it's okay to talk about how you feel. So yeah, that's trauma.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. Like for me, over the pandemic, we saw like a lot of police brutality and stuff like that. Like the videos were like going all around Instagram and everything like that. And you become desensitized to it. That's the word for it. And it's not because you don't want to feel anything. It's just because you see it so much, you get used to it. Like if it's a consistent image or a consistent thing that you face, sometimes like your body and your mind just gets conditioned to just those conditions or those habits or that space. So I understand where it's coming from, but you acknowledging it here, you sitting here acknowledging it. So figure out what things happen. So maybe you writing things down, journaling what's going on, and black men definitely don't need to hold their emotions in. Like y'all can have feelings, like y'all have feelings too, and like expressing feelings is human. I think expressing feelings is just it makes you more human. So you go ahead and just don't think about what society is telling black men to do, or even black women too, because they expect us to be strong, and like sometimes even thinking about like single mothers and things like that, just expecting them to like handle everything, do it all on their own, have to sacrifice this to do that. Like things shouldn't necessarily be like that. Like I know for me and my family, I want to be able to have the finances and be stable and everything like that for me to not have to go without something else in order for me to provide for my kids. So just thinking about those different things, I feel like it's very important. But take some time to talk to some people. You always got us here. I'm always open. You can always DM me and everything like that. But every other people are feeling it too, and we can relate to you. So definitely feel like you can express anything with us. Can you got any questions that we can talk about with the people? Anything that you feel like stuck out to you, or anything you feel like you see um common and maybe hitting to other people?
Um, no, I don't got nothing to touch on right now. I gotta think of some questions.
I be like, how do you? All right. I got a question, but I don't know how I necessarily want to word it, but I'm gonna just word it the best way that I can. So, one thing big for me is I want to break the generational curse, right? I want to break a generational curse, and that is like, I guess you can say relying on the government or reliance on the government or whatever, because it's something that's all in my family. You know, food stamps. Everybody got food stamps to the max. Nothing wrong with food stamps, but I think one thing is really hard for me is like when I talk to my mom about something and she doesn't necessarily get where I'm coming from. So like I could tell her, right, I don't want our family to be on food stamps, later on, and we need to take the action to get there, right? And my mom, me and her talking or something like that, she, say everything that's going on that may be going on wrong. She line up all the issues, all the problems and everything like that. And, I'm sitting here like, I can help, I'm doing this and this and that. So I can help with this and this and that so we can stop with this issue or whatever, right? But like it's still like something is every good thing you got she negated, or not even just her, like other people in my family, like think about all the things that could go wrong with something that you bring up. So how do you have make more the older generations more knowledgeable, or like um more open to the things that we're trying to do for real? Because I don't know, I think the older generations just be stubborn, like they think their way is the only way, and that's the only way we can do things, but we know it's otherwise. I just want to know, like, what's your take on like getting them to open up to new things and not just be so in a box for real. Gemma said showing in the effects of it. Oh my god, I be saying like I be trying. I literally feel like I be saying it so simple to her. Like I be lining things up. Like this would happen because of this, right? And it take for her. Sometimes she got to hear it from more than one person for her to believe it. But like if I say it to her or something like that, it's just like, okay, so you know this happening because of this. She like, oh no, I think it should be like this, or this could go wrong or anything like that. It feel like sometimes she still just be closed off to it for real. See, that's probably my part right there, Gemma. You said can't really spare their feelings. You gotta explain to them the negative impact it's really making. Gotta show them the ugly sometimes to make them understand how serious it is. I don't know, yo. I don't know. It's just so hard. It'd be a hard conversation to have when you talking to like your parents and like your grandparents and stuff. Like certain things they just don't be understanding. I feel like it's just under that conditioning piece though. Like they didn't experience anything else, so they just pressing it on to you. And like some parents, my mom's not like this, but some parents don't want you to go past them. Like they could be seeing you be successful and all that. They not going to acknowledge that you're doing good, because they just want you to be in one certain spot, and some people just not comfortable with you going past them. And that's just like, I don't know, that idea or that concept is so crazy to me. Finn, what you think? How could you get the older generations to open up? And then Zion, we gonna get a Zion question, and then we probably gonna wrap up with Jules.
Um, so getting the older generations to open up, they gotta be more open minded. Definitely gotta be more open minded, and it's hard to force somebody to open up. Sometimes it just happened too late, or it happened on people's own time. So getting somebody to open up really, yeah, you have to really drill it. Like you say, you talk to your mom, talk about it as much as you can. So like one day she might just see the light, or like it might just click. So getting the older generations to open up is it's more about them, instead of looking at it from one standpoint, look at it from all standpoints, being more open minded and stuff like that. It's the only way they can open up for real.
What you said kind of made me think about like just being the change you want to see for real. Like I don't know. I try my best to just show my mom what the possibilities are. Like, of course, I'm getting my FAFSA, Pell Grant, and everything from the government and everything like that. But other than that, I'm not trying to do no, other too much other. I don't want to rely on it. How about that? Like, it could be an accessory or something, but it's not something that I'm relying on. So I just want to just show her and show my family that it's more than just what we have been doing. It's way, way more than what we've been doing. And her smiles really opened my mind up to that because it's like the opportunities I get now, thinking about like the internships we be on, the people we able to connect with, the network, the knowledge that we're able to get from a lot of these other adults in this community, like it's crazy and it's gonna be worthwhile later on. So that's what I had to say about that. I'm gonna keep trying to do my work. I'm talking to my mother to death about it until I be tired of hearing the response a little bit. I talk to her again the next day, but you just gotta be consistent with it. It's a hard process for real, but nobody said it was gonna be easy. A lot of times people do go with the easier thing too. That's another thing we could probably get into in another day, but people do just go with the easier route sometimes.
That's a thought I had that slipped away from me. That's a thought right there. A lot of the reason that people want government assistance and people go down the wrong road is because it's way easier to take the negative route or take the easier thing to do than it is to toughen it up, put your head down through the rain, and keep going in the right direction. So it might be hard first when you get off that government assistance, because it's gonna be hard. Life isn't easy, but when you push through, you gonna feel better because of it. You're gonna feel more accomplished because of it, because you took the harder route. You're gonna feel better because you went to that gym instead of sat on your butt all day and ate candy and junk food. Then you go feel better. You see, people don't see the long term. Like you're gonna feel better in a couple years because you went on a run today and the next day. So yeah, you just gotta stop doing what's easy sometimes and take the hard route, and you go feel better because of it. I'm telling you. So
Yo, I've been doing my mouth almost 2 months now, yo. I looked at my little highlight, it was like 7 weeks ago. I'm like, sheesh, I'm running in miles. But Zion said, what things are y'all doing right now to break at least one generational curse? So for me, I'm in college and I don't got paid for it. Thank you, Spellman. Thank you. All of my other scholarships, thank you. Because, I'm just able to not have to pay for it. And that's amazing to me. I don't think nobody else in my family had been able to go to school on a full ride, and it's still hard now. Even if I got the money or the access anything like that, Dorian, being on the phone, doing the essays, everything like that. I had a mental breakdown the first time that I was about to do a paper in college. So it's not easy, but that's my step every day, putting in work in with school, cause it don't be no joke. Dorian, what you doing? Breaking your generational curses. Let's see what you talking about. You still stiff on here.
me
Yo, he been
personally,
stiff this whole time. Go ahead.
to break generational curses, I'm trying to be more open minded and you know aware to concepts that I might not come around in the beginning, but I try to come around and see the aspects and stuff eventually, and I'm working. So I'm trying to stay out of the bad influences and things like that. Not doing drugs and stuff like that. Just staying on the right path and making good decisions. That's my way of breaking the generational curses and being an example.
That's good. Reality said, principal's honor roll. I know about. I miss that. I miss high school. I miss middle school. Like I was doing my thing. I'm doing my thing down here now. It's just like, yo, girl, be stressed out. But any change is hard, Joe. You just gotta choose out hard for real. Like Is it going to be hard sitting on your butt all day collecting the government checks? Or is it going to be hard, actually doing something that you love, getting money, chasing your passion, things like that? Like, I'd rather, be more passionate and on that side instead of just, being lazy and everything like that. So, um, Don said managing his time. Rarely said finishing high school, graduating with principal's honor roll since ninth grade, and being eligible for a scholarship. We love the scholarships. We love the scholarships. Yo, when I got that letter from Spelman, Howard I was happy about too. But Spelman and they sent me that financial aid was like you had to pay 000. I'm like, this seals the deal. I'm breaking generational curses. But y'all, we about to wrap up. Not we, because I'ma still be on here at 7. But Dorian, Dorian, Dorian going ahead and share his jewel. I'ma share my jewel. We gonna be done with Winning Wednesday. But y'all know we got this town hall coming up next. So make sure y'all stay on if y'all can. I know food insecurity. I think y'all about to have your meeting or something like that. So yeah, we gonna go ahead and wrap the things up. We gonna definitely make sure that we keep touching on this. Any topics y'all want to talk about, please let me or coach know. Or if y'all ever want to get on, talk about something, let me know. We have a couple good ideas coming up, but I always want as much people to get on as possible because I know I love talking to people. So go ahead, Dorian. Let me see what your jewel is. I'm gonna share mine, and then we're gonna move right along to that town hall.
My jewel today is support one another and making differences and making a change. If you see somebody doing something and you might not be able to get your feet in there with them, support them somehow. Repost the video or tell them good job or something like that. Find a way to support somebody, and it can make a big difference in somebody else. Support, the little things matter.
We love it. All right, so tying on to the little things. I'm gonna say set a small goal or a daily goal that you can do every single day and stick to it every single day. So even thinking about that 30-mile challenge. I sometimes, I may like to slip ups on my 30-mile challenge. I'm not gonna lie, but I still do my mile every day for the most part. So it don't seem like that much after I'm done. It might be a little sweat. 10 minutes later, I'm back fine. So just thinking about like the long term goal by doing short term things, or small things. So that's all we got today for Winning Wednesday. Y'all know next week gonna be Shalaw's session, and then I'm gonna see y'all again in 2 weeks. So I love you, Goofy. I love y'all so much, and I hope that y'all have a wonderful night. Stay tuned for the town hall in 2 minutes. See y'all. Hey y'all. I'm back. It literally was like 2 minutes that we was off the call, and it felt like 30 seconds. But we gonna go ahead and about to start this town hall. Um, I'm so excited to be doing this with y'all. Hiya, we've been doing our thing. As far as just educating the people about what COVID is about. Having different people come and share their perspectives. Putting out videos up there, thinking about the monthly videos we've been doing, busting COVID myths, everything. It's definitely been impactful. So I'm so excited to be having my other higher ambassadors come on. I'll be the host for the night. I know y'all just seen me for like a whole hour, but we're going to make sure that we're going to make this next hour impactful, and get some of these questions answered about COVID and everything like that. So we're going to have my people come on, and we're going to get this started. So y'all already know who I am. My name's Camry Moses. Cam. We got Lamar on here. We got Elder on here. We got Jamira on here. And I just want to let y'all know that this event is just so important, just by just getting this education on COVID, the experiences on COVID, and everything like that, answering some questions. So I'm gonna allow Jamira to introduce herself, then Lamar and Elder, and then we're gonna have Raquel introduce herself.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Jamira. I've been in Heart Smiles for about almost 4 years now, and I would say that I'm an OG Healing Youth Alliance ambassador now, and also I'm a freshman at Bowie State University, and an advocate for So nice to meet y'all.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Lamar Hill. I'm a freshman at Morgan State, as well as a Heartbeat and a Healing Youth Alliance ambassador as well.
What's up, y'all? My name is Young Elder. I'm 20. I go to Coppin. I'm a sophomore. Also part of Healing Youth Alliance, like everybody else here, and I'm also part of the Men's Trauma Informed Care Task Force.
Thank you for introducing yourselves. I'll now allow my special guest to introduce herself. Also my sister. So I know y'all probably see me, but I do have family, and this is one of my older sisters, Raquel. So I'm gonna let her.
My name is Raquel Moses. I'm Cameron's sister. I am a registered nurse. I have been a nurse for about 2.5 years. Went to the University of Maryland for my nursing degree, and I'm 27.
Thank you. So now we're gonna go ahead and get this conversation started. I'm gonna give it over to the panelists to ask some of these questions and kind of give some intro where these questions stem from. And get this panel.
Okay, awesome. So I can start with the first question. It's really not really a question, just overall. We want to just know, what was your experience like with COVID, like when it first started? Like, what was your experience like overall?
When it first started, it was so scary because we didn't know what it was. Every day, the CDC was coming out with something different. It's airborne. No, it's not airborne. So how we protect ourselves at work, it varied. Every day we would come in, there would be something that would be different. And it was kind of scary, especially like when you're around like your close family, because you're going into work every day, possibly exposing yourself to this virus and then going home to your family and loved ones. So for me personally, I kind of just stayed away from everybody because I didn't want to expose anyone older. I didn't want to expose my parents. I didn't want to expose my grandparents. I didn't want to expose the younger kids that I would be around. So it was very scary. We were like, there weren't like tests, like there was no like protocol with how to deal with it. And then PPE, which is the gear we would put in to go into the patient's room, it was very rare. So they would like lock everything up. We had to reuse masks. It was like everything that we learned basically in nursing school and becoming a nurse, and the policies that they had in place at the hospital, everything was different. Everything changed, and it wasn't like there was nothing that we could do to prepare ourselves for, because no one really knew what was going on. So It was very scary because at the end of the day, that's your job. And I know that's something that I signed up for, but no one thought that we would be dealing with a virus. Like, just imagine how it was when the flu first came out. Nobody knew what the flu was. And, now we have a vaccine and it's pretty standard to protect yourselves from that. And now we're in the phase where we're still learning about this virus 2 years in. And there's still a lot of chaos when it comes to how to handle it and get it under control.
Hearing about COVID first, like I was immediately scared because first it was like it started off like when I first heard about COVID was sitting at the table with my aunt when COVID was in China, I believe, and it was a lot going on there, and it was like a lot of like media outbreak, and it was just my aunt. She's one of the people that loves to watch so many videos on YouTube and stuff, and she showed us it while we were eating crabs, and it was just like I was just immediately scared, and then next thing you know, they said we'll go leave from school for the rest of the week, and then next thing you know it becomes like almost 2 years. So it was really really scary, and I was just like I honestly like I thought it was just like not in a way a zombie apocalypse, but I just thought the world was coming to an end, and I was just so scared, and I was like and I knew that being like I had to be home, so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do at home all day. I don't know if I can go to work. What am I going to do? I didn't like know I was going to be able to like survive COVID, not the actual virus within itself, but actually like the impacts that it would have on like my family and stuff, and just like survive as in like what am I going to do now that I am forced to be in a house. So that was like the scariest part for me. Yeah. And it took away a lot of like my experiences. I didn't have like prom and all that stuff. I didn't have a high school experience mostly, and like so now I'm like a kind of in college now. I'm just like, ooh, gotta catch up. So yeah.
All right. And that actually kind of leads us to like our next question, which is what's one of the main things that you say COVID changed about your views towards the medical field? So I was wondering if you could shine some light on that.
We were not prepared. Like we just weren't prepared. And I don't want to say it was just specifically the medical field because who literally, like, again, I spoke on this, like, who would have known that we would be dealing with this and that it would take this long to kind of get a grasp on our new reality. But just the lack of preparation. We were not prepared for this at all. And it caused a lot of burnout with the nurses, so and respiratory therapists and CNAs and physician assistants, like everyone was very burnt out. So number one, the need for medical staff. I feel like that was like really brought to light that we are already lacking. And we were working short staff all the time. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done. It just brought to light like that there is a lot of work to be done. I'm not necessarily sure what needs to be done because I'm on the lower ranks of the whole process. But as someone that was actually like working, it was very difficult. Like we didn't know who to blame for it, but we just knew that like the working conditions were really trash. The lack of supplies was trash. Like the fact that we were like buying supplies from China to bring back over here, that we saw that like China was allegedly dealing with the whole pandemic like way better than we were in the US. A lot of stuff just wasn't making sense. And there were no explanations. There were no answers for like the why and what was going on. Like I think New York was the first place where the media was just going crazy, like the trucks full of bodies, and we were like, how is this even happening? How are we not, even though we're not getting the virus under control, but how are we not prepared for? How are we dealing with these inhumane ways of like dealing with people's family members and loved ones? How is this going on? We weren't treated like people. We were kind of treated like numbers as far as like staff. Like no one cared about your personal life. No one cared that you were burnt out. No one really cared about anything. There weren't any measures like in place in the beginning of like, okay, how do I know I don't have COVID? When it was like, okay, first the symptoms were very clear, and then the symptoms became like everything, and then you can have it but not have symptoms. So every day it was just something different. There was like no preparation. There were no clear answers. And even now, like, it's kind of like we would prefer to have staff in our facilities than to really focus on safety. I think the biggest thing that they did was require the staff to be vaccinated in order to keep your employment, even though there's a lot of controversy around that topic. But it's to make sure that you're keeping yourself safe, but you're also keeping your patients safe as well and not exposing them to anything or decreasing your chances of doing so. But diseases will come and go. There are new diseases that come every couple, I guess, decades. Like we had the what was it, the yellow fever, like all these things that come up, and now we're just in a phase of our lives where we're making history and we just have to kind of figure it out. So it's kind of, you read about this stuff, but we're actually in the middle of it right now. And so science grows, medicine grows, everything is a journey. It just sucks that it had to be us. And we didn't already have like a contingency plan in place, but
And
yeah.
Yeah. I do agree with like on everything you said, and I have not like I'm not in the medical field as you all know, but like just hearing and like listening to like different stories and stuff, I feel like in a way, like again, Raquel said, we were not prepared. And also like a huge thing I noticed, I feel like the medical field, medicine could like do like better on. It's just like how they treat not even just around COVID, just how they treat their workers, how they treat doctors, how they treat nurses and stuff like that. Because although they were going to work each day and try to help treat someone with COVID and all that, they would have to go back home. So I feel like there was like a lot of like things around them, like putting themselves at risk for someone else's life, and that's good sometimes. But like when it becomes to like a point like of COVID and everything, it can affect your whole family. And I feel like a lot of like family members and people who are like nurses and stuff like that, they didn't like not have much protection at all, and in a way they really didn't have no choice. It was either work at the hospital and do this and all that, or kind of like have like not much things at home, or just like you really didn't have a choice when it came to that. And I feel like a lot of the stories was like about like maybe death in some cases, and also putting like their family members at risk. And then when you are working in like a nursing home or a hospital, stuff like that, you take, even without COVID, you take a part of that home with you each day. Like maybe not emotional, it can be an emotional day, it can be like any like sickness and stuff. So I feel like I know my mom, she was a CNA, so she would put like stuff on her shoes and stuff. She would not walk in the house with her shoes on. So I feel like just hearing that little bit, and then like thinking about COVID on like a pandemic level, I feel like that was such a scary thing. And with that being said, I feel like doctors, nurses, and everyone, they need much more protection and much more support. And I feel like they were like this kind of the superheroes of the pandemic, because without them, we probably would not be at this stage of getting a vaccine, because without their support and without them like actively putting their life at risk to help us, then we would probably still be in our house in quarantine somewhere. So
I think also thinking about like from the outside looking, I think a lot of people don't really understand like what it takes to care for those types of patients. And I'm in a hospital, like the praise is always like goes to the doctors, and then it's like the nurses. But I think that it really shined a light on the role of respiratory therapists that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. But they're the people who, like, when you hear that patients are like ventilated, which means they have like the tube down their mouth and a machine that's basically breathing for them, like they were like I don't say the real superheroes, but they really like their profession gained more traction, I guess, and the importance of their role kind of like was brought to the forefront. Because me personally as a nurse, I don't know how to work a vent, and a lot of patients who were like fighting for their lives were ventilated. And so I think it just like we all just kind of appreciated each other way more than maybe we did pre-pandemic, because each person's role came to light, and we also worked as a team more than I think that we had previously. Like even like, for example, like having a COVID patient, like you want to decrease the amount of times that you're in that room to decrease the exposure. So you really kind of talk to the whole team, like who's going in there, who can do this, who can do what. Like you kind of play on each other's strengths, and you really rely on each other very heavily. And I also agree with what you said, like coming in my house, like I was undressed before I came in the house. Like some people would get undressed in the parking garage just so they wouldn't even sit in their cars. Some people had like plastic over their seats. And a lot of people were going home to children, and it was very, very scary. I think that when you think about the health, it wasn't just about the fear of like your physical health, but it was also the fact that it strongly impacted your mental health. Because not only is it the anxiety of like taking something home, even people who like worked at grocery stores, because that's an essential worker. Like there were a lot of places that didn't have the luxury of working from home because we still need to go get groceries. Like, even though the shelves at the beginning were like completely empty, and you have people who are at warehouses who still have to go to work, and then you have people who can't afford to stay home and would come to work sick because they don't have paid time off, or they don't have they're not salary, they're hourly. So it just, it kind of shined the light on like America, period, because when things like this happen, there's really not support. You have to choose between like risking your health and risking the health of others, or providing for your family. And that was very unfortunate in the beginning. Eventually they did provide support, but
And
it hit more than just us.
And I could briefly speak on the essential worker part. I was working at the market during the COVID pandemic and everything, the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's still going on. But like, it was just being there for like, it was just a lot. I feel like it was already disorganized before the pandemic. So having the pandemic, and it's just like, a lot of people did not really believe that COVID was that serious, and also people like when it came to the managers and stuff, like they didn't really want to hear anything else. They wanted you at that post doing your work, and I feel like in so many like different like corporations across the city, or just even America as a whole, like it's so much things that needs to be worked on, because they don't really see us as human. They see us as workers, and they see that they need that money in there like for their business. So I feel like so many of the essential workers, they've got the short end of the stick because they really did not have a choice, again, like you said, Raquel. So yes,
It made us feel like we were just a number. We weren't
literally.
human beings, we were a number.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to tap into the part where you were speaking on a controversy about how they made everybody at the hospital get the vaccine. Quick question about that is, what kind of advice or just feedback would you give to somebody who said they don't want to get the vaccine, but their reasoning is because they are unsure about the long-term effects of it?
Everyone has the right to do what it is that they would like to do, but I just feel like there are a lot of things that people consume and they don't know what's in it, and they don't know the long-term effects. And I think just because this is just something that's new and it's different, people are going to have they're going to second guess. There are so many conspiracy theories that are out there. I remember when the vaccine first came out, they were saying, oh, this is the mark of the beast, and oh, this is a chip that the government's trying to put in. And it's just like, okay, like it was just like so much going on. But I think like we know the numbers. Like when the vaccine came out and more people were vaccinated, the COVID numbers dropped. And then it was like, okay, well, what's the point of getting the vaccine if you can still get COVID? Well, you can get the flu shot and still get the flu, but it just decreases the severity of the virus. So I think that the numbers speak for themselves. And I'm not a scientist. We're not going to know the long-term effects if there are any. I'm not sure. I can't really speak on that, but I am fully vaccinated. My family is fully vaccinated, and we're fine. I know there was a lot of talk when Johnson and Johnson kind of shut their vaccine down because people were having like, I think, blood clots or something. I really don't have an answer for that because it is so new. And I think in the past, like it took so long for a vaccine to even be like out on the market and acceptable and ready available for people. But the numbers speak for themselves.
Yes.
Like COVID is still out there, it's not going anywhere, and people are still choosing to be very social and willing to expose themselves. So I feel like if you want to get back to your normal lives, whenever that's going to happen, I feel like the best bet is to try to protect yourself and protect the ones around you. And I think that is getting vaccinated.
And I feel like if something that I would tell them is just like do your own research, because a lot you people believe what they want to believe. You can post one little thing on social media, and now the whole world is
I think your sound went out. Is it just
Are
me?
you a mute?
Yes, I was on you. Sorry about that. But yes, I was just saying that if anything, do your own research about for the COVID vaccine, because people the media will really make you believe anything, like about the chips and everything. I actually believed it for a second because I did not know much about it, and there has been like so much, like so many different things, and I feel like, and a lot of times in our community, if you don't really know your resources about something, one person puts one thing in your ear, then that thing just kind of keeps going on and on. I feel like, so with something like serious, like a vaccine that you're putting in your body, you need to do your own research and not just hear like a word of mouth thing or just like see something on social media, because that's how you can like easily get like, directed in the wrong way. So I would definitely say do your research and like the impacts you want to have on your life. And I feel like if you think it's a positive thing for you, then go for it, and just don't not do it because you're like you don't know what's going on. You heard somebody else say that the government is trying to track you, because if you're on your phone every day, if the government wanted to track, they already could. I bet they're tracking you right now as we speak. So I feel like you need to do your own research and just like stick to yourself for real. So
I definitely agree. And I think also what kind of like people were kind of like on board with the vaccine until the Delta variant came out. And then it was like, oh, everyone's getting sick again and people got vaccinated, because things mutate. Like viruses will mutate, bacteria, they mutate, like things mutate. And so then the scientists have to go back to the drawing board and make sure that we are protected still by the virus, with the vaccine from this new variant. So like you said, do your research. The CDC has a lot of information. The World Health Organization has a lot of information. And then you can access like actual studies and research articles and stuff like that on it. But no one will know the long-term effects because it's happening now. Like no one will know. But I do know, like I said before, the numbers speak for themselves. The rates have gone down as a number of people being vaccinated have gone up. So
All right, that's good. That's nice information for everybody and myself. I actually have a few questions in the comments that I think some people would like for you to answer. So we actually had one from Ken where it says, from the last 2 years, we'd be more prepared. Do you think we'd be more prepared to handle the Omicron outbreak? I believe I'm saying that correctly.
Omicron.
Yeah, Omicron.
I feel like I don't really know much about the Omicron variant. I just heard like a few things in the media, but I have not like really did much research about it. But I feel like the amount of like progress we made and like the strides we're making like currently, it's just I feel like we will be prepared to it. And then like again, Raquel said like viruses been taken. That's like I feel like the scientists, all they have to do is just like you said, go back to the drawing board and just like start making like start seeing what will work to get like the new variant like away. But I feel like honestly, I think we can overcome the yes, we can overcome it, yes, because we've overcame the whole COVID-19 pandemic. Well, we have now overcame that, yeah, but we've been making a lot of different strides, so to the point that we're able to kind of like live somewhat of a somewhat normal, but like just live while in the pandemic. So but yeah,
I think also if like we go into this next year and we have not really seen the progress that I guess is expected, that people have to understand that a possible solution just for the meantime might be going back to like how it was in the beginning, like when the world kind of had to shut down. And I know for people who aren't social distancing, people are having like concerts and like, you know, there was one last night. They're not wearing masks, so I think that people being so concerned, like, oh, COVID, 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 but then you're out here with like hundreds of people at a concert, right next to them, not 6 feet away. It and the rates go up again. Like, who are you upset with? I mean, realistically, like COVID's not. It takes one person. It literally takes one person, and you're that close. So I think that a part of us having things under control is just like what you do personally. Make better choices. You shouldn't be out here around hundreds of people when we know that the virus is still out here and not under control. It doesn't really make sense. And if you have to be around a large group of people, wear a mask. It's just the same basic things that we have been saying since the outbreak are the same things that we're saying now. Social distancing is still important. Wearing a mask around a group of people is still important. And it's people who are like the anti-vaxxers who are the main people not wanting to wear masks. I know that we all saw on social media in the beginning where there would literally be people having like these huge fits because they weren't allowed in establishments without having a mask on. I'm pretty sure those are the same people who are fighting the vaccine as well. It's like it's kind of hard to help people who don't want to help themselves. And that in turn puts other people at risk as well. So
Yes. And I also think that, like, again, when you were talking about like the concerts and stuff, like I feel like I'm kind of guilty of that because I did go to like a few concerts and I will be going to the Give Young concert. So it's like I feel like I am like but if I put the mask, I know I need to have my mask on and all that, and I am vaccinated, and we have to have like a COVID test almost every month. But I will plan to get a COVID test again after the concert. So to live on campus, you need a vaccine, and like you need a vaccine, you need a negative COVID test and a mask. So we always have to get that checked. But I feel like again, like everything has been so rushed to the point where it's like people like I feel like in a way it was kind of like not really thought about like really well because there has been festivals, there's been concerts done a lot. I feel like they've kind of rushed it to the point. It's like although I'm excited to hear that my like favorite artist is coming to a city near me, but it's just like if you really think about it, why are there managers and why whoever signed them off saying that you can have this concert, it's allowing them to do so, and we're kind of like fresh, not even out of a pandemic, like we're still in the pandemic and people are still dying from COVID. So I feel like it has been like it has to also be like a lot of like things on their part. They're trying to rush the process, and I feel like something like COVID, you have to kind of like let it like run its course, and also kind of like do what you can do and do what you need to do to kind of like keep it going and like trying to stay away from COVID. But I feel like a lot of things has been rushed because so many people are back at work. There's been Black Fridays shopping. There's been concerts, everything. So I feel like but I feel like we could possibly be prepared again if there was maybe another quarantine. I will hope not, but hope there isn't another quarantine. But if we continue to kind of like move at the pace we're moving it at now, because we kind of rush right back into things, I feel like maybe there could be possibly like a longer time in the pandemic. So, but yeah.
I do agree. And that's
Thank
why
you
I
so
think
much for sharing
they're
it.
pushing.
Oh,
They're pushing for the vaccine so that people can get back to normalcy. But if people don't want to get vaccinated and people don't want to kind of like ease back into your normal life in moderation, like it's if everyone or majority of the people at that concert were vaccinated, then great. Or if they're vaccinated and they still chose to wear a mask, then great. Like you can get back to a normal life. But if you were kind of like anti everything, it's kind of difficult to make progress, even if science is top notch and they come up with this vaccine that's super, super effective. Then it's convincing people to get it. Even though science has been speaking for itself, it's still just like it's convincing people to get it. Even Maryland did like if you get the vaccine and then you get put into this like what they were like giving out like money or something. Like it's like they're doing all these things to try to convince people to get it, and then it's like, well, why are they pushing us to do it? It's just like you can't win. Like we try to give you an incentive to get it, but then the government's trying to bribe you to get it because of XYZ. No, we're trying to convince you to protect yourself. And how do we convince you? Well, obviously people love money. That's why the concerts are going on already. People need money. Like you literally need it to survive. It's a thing. Like you need to get vaccinated to keep your job. Why? You need money. But we also want you to be safe. It's kind of like taking your free will. I do get it, but it's also giving you a choice. No one's making you stay here. We're not making you stay here. If you don't get vaccinated, you're losing your job. But if every company is requiring you to be vaccinated, then it's be vaccinated or be poor to have a financial struggle. It's just a very complicated situation. I don't know, but I do think we're making progress. I do think in the next 2 years we will continue to make progress because more research and more data will be available. So I'm optimistic and hopeful.
thank you so much for sharing that. We do now have Dr. P on. So I would love for Dr. P to introduce himself and kind of get a part of this discussion that's going on right now.
So, hey guys, my name is Panagis Goliatsachos, or Dr. G. I'm a lung and critical care doctor at Johns Hopkins. And for the last almost 2 years, right? Coming up on December is our anniversary with finding COVID. I have been involved in COVID in three ways. One, helping out preventative, so managing patients to discuss in public health matters how to not catch COVID, and to some extent part of the vaccine research trials as well. Second part, being a critical care doctor, managing the intensive care units. And then third, managing the patients post-COVID-19. All that said and done, though, I want to make one point clear, and I'm happy to start taking some questions. My emphasis of COVID, of where we're at now, December 1st, 2021, this is 100% a preventable disease and 100% the responsibility of all of us to end the pandemic. This is not on the shoulders of doctors and nurses. I'm so reactive, right? I treat you when you're actively trying to die from COVID. So that means the front line is all the people who can prevent this. It's all of you. And I was jumping into that conversation and listening to you guys talk about your responsibilities. I loved hearing that. That's what I emphasize. COVID spreading is everyone's responsibility to not do it and stop it. And so the big part that I tell everyone, what you should be thinking about every day when you wake up, is what role are you going to play to end this pandemic? And I heard you guys talking about the anti-masks and anti-vaxxers. I get invited to a lot of those conversations, and I flip the script on them. And I say, well, how do you plan to end this pandemic? Right? Let me put it this way. If you're thrown in the Chesapeake Bay and you're drowning, does the water care if you don't believe in it or not? No. It's still going to, this isn't a religion. It doesn't need your beliefs. This is Mother Nature putting out something that she's done countless times with us. You have the best humans looking into how to stop it, and we've given you our recommendation. So what I ask is, what role are you playing to end this pandemic? That's how I have these conversations. Because if you want to be anti, then tell me something, because it just sounds like you're being anti-human and being pro-virus. So I need to know where you're coming from. So with that said, someone that I think we all get kind of unfortunately put as COVID experts, I'm happy to take some of your questions if you guys have some, or else you're just going to hear me continue to talk and maybe throw in a few bad jokes here and there. All right, someone
Oh,
drops.
Lamar, yo or me?
All right, so I actually do have a question for you.
Go for it.
So actually, I wanted to ask you, like, during the pandemic and like even before the pandemic, like comparing both of them, what were some like activities and stuff that like being put in the pandemic, it caused you to either like stop doing them or like change your overall viewpoint on doing such thing?
I think I don't think I've ever really been struck with so much fear in the beginning of the pandemic. Like I'd go and help these patients, and I'd come home. I take like 3 extra showers. I essentially did everything but burn my clothes that I wore because I didn't know if I was bringing it home. I have 2 daughters. Like I didn't know. There was so much fear in the beginning, and this is important. Like fear is the right mode to be in because it sharpens you and it focuses you and allows you to begin to answer the questions you're posing that are making you scared. Now I don't have that fear anymore. Like I can go in patients. I know what I need to wear to get the job done and not leave with COVID. The other part that, and I see this because I'm going to build onto something in a second, but the second part is, man, like life is incredibly fragile. And you got to make sure, regardless of your age, none of us are immortal. None of us are the Eternals from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Hopefully that reference is like vibing with you guys. But during the course of the pandemic, early on, because of fear, we restricted families from coming into the ICU. So I've held physically a little over 100 hands. The last human contact people had before they passed on was me, because their families were screaming, "Don't let them die alone." That weighs on you. That doesn't leave you. Like that still sits with me. Like I can hear the Zoom screams from the family members as their loved one is taking that final breath. I'm a critical care doctor. I've seen death. But I usually step out, let the families kind of be there, have their moment. I'm never usually in the room watching the patient actively die. Family does that so they can give it the dignity they need. And then I come in and declare the death, but the body's passed. But to feel those hands, feeling it from going warm to cold, I don't know how to ever describe that. So it's giving me that perspective of you got to cherish life. However many years we got here, that's it. That's all we have. But going back to the first part, this is why I'm emphasizing we're 2 years into this. COVID is a preventable disease, right? And you got to make your decision how you want to end it. The vaccines we know help tremendously. How? Come to my ICU. We have 3 patients in there. Last year we had over 300. Yeah, man, they work. They're keeping people out of the hospital. Face masks still 100% work, right? So continue playing your role and information spreading that. That help answer your question? I apologize if it took it to a very grim place, but you asked about a perspective.
And
All right. Do you guys want me to read some of the questions in the chat box? All right. Why was a booster created? Jasmine, great question. So to gain immunity, right, those antibodies. Actually, let's take a step back. In the 1950s and 1960s, our battle against infections suddenly got 2 massive breakthroughs. And I'm not asking you guys to be historians at the moment, but let me educate you guys. So infections have been killing human beings constantly, right? We know that. We got smallpox, you got polio, you got staph infections, etc. 1950s, 1960s, 2 things came out. 1, 2. First, vaccines, like formal ones. There were somewhat vaccines around prior to that. Formal ones, so like really well tested. And antibiotics, penicillins. One was good against bacteria, and the other one was really better for viruses. Why do we take 2 approaches for 2 biological different things? Bacteria don't need us. Bacteria makes more of itself, right? You put some bacteria in a petri dish, you give them some sugar and nutrients, they'll make more of themselves. They're fine. They don't need another living thing. It's like us. We can eat and we can make more humans with other humans. Bacteria are fine. So killing off bacteria is actually it's much easier. A lot of their biology is very different from us. So we create toxins to impact them. That's why you can come to my ICU dying almost from a staph infection. That can get you out in 3 days. Somewhat back to baseline. Viruses are different, man. Viruses can't biologically make more of themselves. They got to get into us, take over some of our machinery, and replicate more. So meaning once it's inside the house, the cell, it's really hard to kill it because you're usually going to take down your own cells by killing that off too. So while we have some antiviral medications like for HIV or hepatitis B, our approach really with viruses has always been vaccines. Get your immune system to be smart. So this approach to immunity is huge. Your immune system is not good just by being strong. Strong immune systems are still going to kill you. Your immune systems are better if they're smart, right? So to give you guys kind of a cool analogy here, think of our amazing Baltimore Ravens, right? If they just went to the gym all week and never went to the film room and showed up Sunday at 4:25, not knowing who they're going to play, what do you think the odds are that they're going to beat them? The defense doesn't know what the offense is going to run. You know what I mean? Like being really strong, because I've been to the gym all day, every day for a week, means nothing if you have no idea who your opponent is. Smart team is going to study the film, they'll know the plays, and they'll be able to beat them. That's your immune system. I can make you smarter without ever having to go through a disease. So your immune system does that. Whenever it goes through a disease, this is how we beat it. Remember it. We'll do the same thing next time. But as human beings, we figured out Mother Nature. We're like, hey, we don't need to go through a disease to gain that smartness, that intelligence. We can do it through a vaccine. And the whole purpose of the vaccine is to make that immunity. Vaccines, for the most part, tend to be ones that, especially in adults, we usually have to give them pretty repeatedly in order to sustain that level and keep it there. Hepatitis B vaccine is probably the most well-known. You need 3 shots, 0, 1 month, and 6 months to get a stay put antibody level. Now, in the course of a pandemic, we needed something out sooner than later. Pfizer and Moderna said, hey, we'll study our 2-shot vaccine. Johnson & Johnson said, hey, we'll just study it with 1. Where in the background, they were studying the complete set. So this 3rd shot for Pfizer and Moderna, calling it a booster, I think is fine for the media, but it's really a misnomer. This actually just completes the process of having your antibodies where they need to be. it's a 3-part vaccine. It's always, that's how we thought it would need to be. The only thing, when we talk about vaccines were rushed, they weren't rushed on how they were made. We just opted to study it with 2 shots because we needed something out sooner than later. And that did great, did exactly what we needed to. And now we just need to get boosted back up, or in reality, just complete those 3 shots. The majority of vaccines we put out in the world tend to be multiple shots to complete that pattern. Because your body's like, all right, I've seen it. Let me raise some antibodies. I'll just knock them down. Oh, it's back again. I guess I'll keep them up a little bit longer. And now I'll wait. Oh, it's back again. All right, man. 3 times, I'm going to keep you high. That's the intention. So boosters really are just meant to complete it. Now, let me keep going through. Jasmine's rocking out with these questions. Coming from someone who works in the hospital, also, everyone I've seen get the boosters feels bad afterwards. I do think that people that the purpose of the vaccine needs to be clarified. Yes, Jasmine, spot on. Do people feel bad after getting a vaccine? 100%. So let's again rethink this. Let's put it into a frame of mind. I'm trying to see your names. So is it Jamira?
Yes, it's Jamira.
All right, Jamira, let me ask you a question. I have something guaranteed to make you healthy, but it's going to make your muscles hurt. You're going to get really short of breath, and you're going to sweat a lot. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? Probably.
But how long would that last before,
It's a 90-minute Peloton class. It's going to the gym. That's it. You're going to get short of breath. You're good. If you guys ever been to the gym, you're going to work out, man. And your muscles may ache days later. We constantly put our bodies through really uncomfortable situations because we know it gets us healthy later. If you've ever been to the gym, unless you're like my 8-year-old daughter who's like, oh, I'm just kind of walking. No, you're going to work yourself out, man. You're going to get your muscles to ache. You're going to break some sweats. It's disgusting. And if I tell people like, I don't want that, then I'm like, that's just going to the gym. I'm like, oh, yeah, if you put it like that, yeah, I'll do it. That's what happens with vaccines. It revs up your immune system. Yeah, some people feel fine. Others feel horrible. It's just a revved up immune system, but it's very short-lived and it goes away. Some people go to the gym, break sweats and feel just fine. I go, and depending on who's training me, my legs are hurting for like the entire week. So it's just your immune system revving up. It's activated, but it's transient, meaning it's short-lived and it goes away. And the intention of the vaccine, when we studied it, was to prevent severe COVID, meaning we didn't want you hospitalized and we didn't want you dead. If we can convert COVID to be nothing more than a bad cold that would keep you home, we win. We don't shut the world down for a bad cold. Not to be graphic, it's like wearing a bulletproof vest. This vaccine never stopped the bullets. It just, if it hits you, it may still hurt, but you're not going to bleed out and die. That was always the intention of the vaccine. And is it doing its job? Yeah, man. Come into my hospital. I got, like I told you, 3 or 4 patients with COVID, all unvaccinated, sick as stink in the hospital. Last year, this time we had over 300. It is working. It's doing exactly what we needed to do. Jasmine then wrote, the vaccine prevents you from dying from COVID, not catching. Yeah, beautifully. Anyways, back to, does it have the same purpose? So I don't think it has that purpose yet. The booster just completes the 3-shot series. What I think, so the flu, so let's go to the flu real quick. Mother Nature, very mean. She's very mean. The flu virus has its genetic material. So you guys all know about your DNA. You guys know about your DNA, right? It like wraps around like this, like that helix. If you've ever seen the shape, it's 2 strands coming to get like long. It's cool. The flu's genetic material, it's genetic, but it's chopped up, lots of pieces. Why I'm bringing that up is because every year there's the flu vaccine. It's for a different, when we say different strain, it's a different species, right? And we try to guess because having all those chunks of genetic material out there, a little bit of mutation makes a whole new species of flu. So yeah, we got to get those annual ones because it's not the same one as last year. This virus, so even though we're talking about variants and mutations, still SARS-CoV-2. It's not the trilogy yet, right? It's a different variant. It's like having a brother or a sister. They're still your human beings. They're still the same species. So I don't think we're going to need potentially like yearly shots. We may need boosters every few years if COVID is around. Like I think the pandemic, honestly, I do think the pandemic will end in 6 to 8 months because I think a lot of people are getting the message we need a vaccine or face mask up. And we'll end the pandemic. COVID will be around here and there, but it won't be as horrible as it is now. So yes, so the booster really, like I said, kind of completes a 3-part series. I don't know if I feel bold enough to say we'll need them annually, but we probably will need them every few years to get those antibodies back up. So
I have another question, and
go for it.
this is for both of you guys. When do you think we'll be able to be 100% no masks? And do you think that for the states that did lift the mask mandates, was that the right decision to make? Do you think that they made the right decision? Because, you know, sometimes I go into stores and some stores, nobody has a mask on, even the workers. And in other stores, like, they won't even let you in without the mask. So it's confusing.
I'm going to answer this, and then whoever my other colleague is can jump in. So let me say one thing about masks. As a lung doctor, I'm biased here. I'm a lung doctor, man. Okay. I hope face masks stay fashionable. Doesn't mean you got to wear them all the time. But like, if you got a cold, if you're like, man, I've been sneezing all day, I hope we can all agree it's socially acceptable to throw that gosh darn face mask on. So I'm not sneezing on top of cereal boxes on the cereal aisle. Wear it. Awesome. Also, it's really cold outside. How many people like wearing a face mask now that it's like freezing? You're like, oh, yeah, yeah. So, meaning what I'm getting at is I do hope that the face mask becomes socially acceptable where we can wear it. Why I'm saying this is before the pandemic, there were a group of patients who had to wear a face mask because of their lung disease. And for them, it was incredibly stigmatizing. Like they felt embarrassed. It's like a bunch of these young kids with something called cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis means their lungs have a lot of bad germs in them. So they'd wear face masks. They would wear them out there. You know, I've got these patients coming in crying. They're like, people make fun of me. They know I have a disease the second I wear this mask. Pandemic hit, these kids were like so happy. Like, oh, everyone's wearing it. Now I don't feel stigmatized. It was kind of a very, special win for them. Anyway, I do hope the face mask stays socially acceptable in some fashion. Now, whether states or countries should have done mandates, I go through this. No one likes to be told to do something, and I get that. I understand it. What I always say is, it is clearly medicine has failed to maintain a level of trust in the community. A lot of us sit in an ivory tower doing stuff and then yelling, hey, you should do A, B, and C. This to me speaks, we have lost the ability to gain people's trust. And I'm hoping now we realize we got to be out in the community talking to everyone, just like we're doing now. That way, you guys don't need a mandate. We're like, they just said it's the right thing to do. We should just do it. We believe them. We trust them. Dr. G's cool. He's hopefully you think I'm cool. But like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, if people complied with it, I think that's what I'm looking for, compliance. The fact that we push it as a mandate, for a lot of people, it just goes against their culture. They're like, this isn't my identity. I don't like to be told. And that creates friction. And then suddenly you have this anti-mask, anti-vax conversation. So what I plea is, don't let these mandates and everything take the place of just being a human being and going and talking to people, earning their trust. And then hopefully they are like, yeah, I see what you mean. Let's do it. I want to be a part of it. That's why I told you, when I get invited to like anti-vax conversations, I start off by saying, you know what? You tell me how you plan to end the pandemic. Because either you're pro-human or pro-virus. Can't be both.
And yes, and I do want to like kind of like chime in on that.
So, hold on, Jamira. So, your other colleague is Raquel Moses, and she's actually a registered nurse. She graduated from University of Maryland. But I'll allow Jamira to add her comments, and then Raquel.
Yes, I was just going to add the comment about like how, in order for us to really get the vaccine in different communities, I feel like we a lot with our community, we've not having like much trust with hospitals and stuff throughout our life, and also vaccines. So I feel like that's another huge part of it. And I feel like once yes, you can go back outside about
that. I do agree. I do agree with, it's like when someone tells you that you can't do something or that you need to do something, then you don't do it, because people are just naturally rebellious, especially when you don't have the trust. And I do agree that it is very strong within the Black community, just based upon things that have been done in the past. I strongly agree with mask mandates, though, just because we are still trying to convince people to become vaccinated. So I agree with wearing masks. Even I feel like a year from now, if COVID is still there, I'm still wearing my mask when I'm around a group of people, unless it is my immediate family or my everyday group. Um, do I think we'll be wearing them in, what was the question, 12 to 18 months? I think it just depends on the numbers.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you guys have some more questions, or did you see any questions in the chat that we should pose to Raquel and Dr.
So I kind of feel like y'all kind of already touched on it, but I kind of wanted to ask both of y'all, like, overall, like, if y'all could put out like a whole blueprint for the whole pandemic, like, basically, how would you have like handled it in the first place? Like, like when you said something about compliance and basically having everybody comply and stuff, how would you basically put it out there and like put it in a fashion that way that people wouldn't really reject it, or they wouldn't like sit there and try to defy the medicine, or just the overall doctors, or the stigmas that are placed on towards the medical field?
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, what we've been doing is we've been going out to every community and just talking to them, hearing what they're like. So my blueprint number one is engage with the community. I mean, you can only promote health and prevent disease if what you're saying is understandable, explained in a matter that fits with people's culture and identity, and there's a sense of trust there. We've been doing that. It is, post 24 hours of working, and I go out. My colleagues did the same thing. That should be a blueprint. Like every nurse, doctor, public health official should be doing that. Not on TV blasting, no, out in the community, being with humans in some capacity in a safe manner. And there are countries who did that. And those countries did great. Look at Denmark, New Zealand, especially early on. I mean, they were having these campaigns to convince people, not convince, but share this information. And the people are like, that makes sense. We're going to do that. Like I'm not anti-mandate. I'm just anti if that takes the place of actually having a conversation with people. Because if you keep doing that, you're just going to keep creating friction. And then people are still going to be screaming and yelling. And I'm telling you, doctors and nurses take a day off. The anti-vax people don't. They're always out there. So my blueprint would have been talking about this at the same time, maintaining trust. That way, if there's ever misinformation, people will be like, nah, we got the doctors and nurses. We're listening to them. That's number one. And I hope that's going to stay put and not just come out fashionably when we have a public health crisis. That's number one. That's what I would have emphasized from the beginning. We got to be out there, be transparent, share what we don't know, share what we do know.
I definitely agree. I think a lot of that, at least from my perspective, was done like within the hospital, just being transparent about what we are knowledgeable about and what we don't know. Because in the beginning, there were a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, we were just kind of going with the flow. I do think there definitely needs to be an emphasis on public health. And I agree, not just because of this pandemic, but just in general. I don't think that the emphasis on public health and like healthcare professionals really being out there interacting with the community, I don't think that really was something that occurred as much as it should have. So I do think that moving forward, that's something that's important.
Also, the fact that we're here, I want to make one thing really clear for you guys. Kudos to you guys for being here. Because like you're going to be able to say something no other generation can say. Like you were the reason why this pandemic ended. You guys are. I'm serious. Like if you guys aren't catching and spreading the virus, if you're talking to people about like, hey, public health conscious stuff, man, you are more of a hero than I am. I'm not here. Like you guys are the heroes. Like that's awesome. So kudos to you. And when you write those college applications, unless you're already in college, you make that clear. Like I ended a pandemic. That's what I can say. Like good for you guys. Seriously.
And thank you for that. And thank you so much to Raquel and you, Dr. P, for so much for your support throughout the pandemic. And yes, and we are all in college, by the way. So
Oh, got it. All right. Well, for your job, put that out there. And awesome shout out to my colleague too, who was I love your points as well.
Shout out to you too, Mr. P or Dr. P.
It's all good. Any P, that's fine.
Okay, y'all. So I think that was pretty much all for the questions. What we do in Heart Smiles, we always end with a jewel. It doesn't have to necessarily be COVID related, because I know sometimes I get tired of talking about COVID, but we do need to be knowledgeable about COVID and the vaccine and everything like that. But just go ahead, drop your jewel, something that you want everyone to end their night off with, and we're gonna wrap up and we're gonna get out of here.
All right, I got
So
a
who
jewel
wants
for
to
you guys.
volunteer to go first?
Oh, can I give a jewel? A fun fact? Is that okay?
You can go. You can.
No, I think you guys are gonna like this. All right, do you guys know like what mega means? Mega, like something big, and micro means something small. So in the Greek alphabet, I don't know if you guys know the last letter is omega. I don't know if you've ever heard that in church, like Jesus is the alpha and the omega. Omega just means O, mega, big O. Omicron is small o. That's how we got it in the Greek alphabet. One O is big, one O is small. Omicron just means small o. There you go.
So what you're saying is like we shouldn't like we should worry about the new variant, but like not stress it as much right now.
Sure. I was just commenting on how the letter came to be. But with that said, I would probably still
Okay.
stress we know how to beat this virus. So give us all the variants. The biology really doesn't change. Mask and vaccinate. All right, back to you guys. All right, I'm done. I thought that was a fun jewel. I'm going to give it over to my colleague and let her drop some knowledge.
My jewel is clearly just be the changes you want to see. Like when we were speaking about compliance, like if you in COVID especially, like, play your part, but in like, protecting yourself, but also just, spread the knowledge that you do have. And like Dr. P was speaking on, like when you are in a conversation with anti-vaxxers, speak the fact. Speak facts. Don't just, stand back and listen. Like, be the change that you want to see, because it definitely takes all of us to kind of get this to go away. Everyone has to do their part, and the big part is also educating. So, be the change that you want to see.
Yes, and my jewel would be just to like stay true to yourself. And when it comes to making a decision that will ultimately like impact your life, your immediate life, or your like your long term, any short term or long term. And I feel like when it comes to making a decision, do your research and always think about how it will impact you first. Like always the effects of it. So when you make a decision, you kind of like just like make it for you and don't make it for everyone else, and try not to have everyone's opinions into your decision. So.
Okay, I'm gonna go and then I'm gonna let Lamar and Elder go since they both on the same screen. So my jewel is to just be open. Like I know it can be very hard just to hear people like nonsense opinions sometimes, but even those opinions matter too. So like just be open and hearing different things. Getting different experiences because it's important. You can learn from any experience that you have. So just be open.
Yo, she took my jewel, y'all. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
She swear I be taking her jewel. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yo, I was literally gonna say, be open minded to other people's opinions. That's how I was gonna That's how I was gonna word it. I was practicing it before she decided to jump in front of us. How you the host and you gonna make us go last? It's cool though. Be open to other people's opinions. Second, 2 times.
Oh yeah, and my jewel is just going to be, stay humble. Try to be your best self.
Okay. All right, y'all. So that was the Kovacs Town Hall. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for tuning in to both Winning Wednesday and the Town Hall. Thank you, Dr. P. Thank you to my sister Raquel. Joining is something that I love because y'all know I love her smile. So anytime I have my family tap in, y'all know I really care for them and I really vouch for them. So I will see y'all tomorrow if y'all join Thriving Thursday. Y'all want more content like this, let us know. And that's all. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for having us.